Perfect. We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the mentorship meeting. So we've started the new cohort. We started on last Monday, on the 29th, which is great news. Yay. And we have 10 mentors for this round. We just announced it on the Slack channel for now to allow people to apply because they've been here for they've been waiting since the first cohort and before the first cohort. So this way we can prioritize people who already are waiting. And hopefully this Monday, we're going to announce it on Twitter and other channels to bring more traction to the round and announce it in general to show that we're also we're still in the program and the mentorship is still running because it's been a long time since the last cohort. Yeah, so our agenda is very small today. I just want to review that the number of responses that we have, and also I want there was a question on the mentorship channel about when's the last day for filling the form, and I want to get your opinions on when that should be. Should we wait a week or maybe until we have I don't know 500 people apply? What do you think?
I mean, how many do we have right now? I mean, I don't think there's a good reason to just get as many applications as possible, personally.
And I'm just coming up to speed on this. So what is the ratio between mentors and mentees in number?
Yeah.
Something like 100 to 1.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, how many applications have we had for this round, though? I mean, I don't think we've had, 1,000 yet, have we?
Probably not.
No. Last time I checked, we had around 20. I will double check now, but it's been almost a week and we only announced it on Slack. So from the previous round, we have around 1,500. So we're gonna send those people an email to tell them that the new round is opened. And we also didn't announce it on Twitter yet. By far, Twitter has the most engagement for mentorship. So whenever we do announce it, we'll get hundreds probably.
Yeah, it seems like it may be more like a timeline thing than a number, like a ratio, like maybe a week to 2 weeks after announcing it on Twitter. At 2 weeks at the latest. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of applicants. So I don't, seems like maybe after a week we can just call that, or I don't know what you feel about giving some kind of public timeline, like telling the public saying after a week we're going to, have our mentees are going to sync up with our mentors are going to sync up with their mentees, that kind of thing. But I think more just timeline rather than trying to find the perfect number.
Ahmed, are we planning on we're gonna filter the list initially, right, and then hand it off to the mentors? Is that correct?
That's true, but the filtering is going to be very basic and mainly on pre-filled fields, not on free text.
Okay. Well, since we'll be involved, I would say probably 2 weeks would make sense to line up with the next meeting, so we can, filter the list at the next meeting.
Yeah. So 2 weeks from today, it will be May 17th.
And then how far long after choosing a mentor mentee will we begin mentoring? Would it be like, do we start that week, next week?
That's a good question. Personally, I feel like after we do the initial filtering, basically the initial filtering is just going to be, we're going to make sure that the list of mentees is diverse enough. It has enough levels of skills from beginners to experts or members already in Node. And after that, we're gonna filter based on the mentors that the mentees chose. So each mentee will choose their top 3 selections for each mentor, and we'll be sending this list to each. Probably we'll hide the email and the date that they submitted because it's irrelevant, and we'll keep the GitHub handle and the other free text information, and we'll hand it off to each mentor to choose from there. Probably the mentors will need a week to choose. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then, are we currently operating under a one-to-one mentorship? And in the future, are you looking to move into one-to-many, or just maintaining a one-to-one mentorship?
Yeah, for now, and I think it's the model we're gonna stick to for a while, is just one-to-one. I believe someone did say that. Yeah, actually, you and another mentor, Ben, said that you don't mind one-to-many. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a good idea to hear your opinion since you're gonna be mentoring.
Yeah, I think it was more just the, when you have an open question, you're just like, well, I'm comfortable with this or that. I've done both. So I think for the first round, since we're or for the first couple, few rounds as this is launching, it makes perfect sense to do a one-to-one mentorship and get every mentor comfortable with mentoring, at least on that level or that scale, just to focus in like the how they're going to. So as far as like, an MO for this time period, I feel like that makes perfect sense. I think over time, it would be interesting to explore one-to-many, since there are a lot of people who are looking for mentorship, and more in the interest of being able to, meet the broader needs of the community over time, and support them as best as we can. That might be an interesting way to go. However, I have mentored, like from my perspective, it doesn't make sense to mentor like more than 10, like 10 people, and that's still a lot. Like 10 is a lot, but it doesn't make sense to mentor more than like 10 people in a group setting at a time. And that's because you lose the ability for everyone to be able to feel like they make a connection or are able to ask the questions they want or feel comfortable enough, because you have different personalities, and some may be louder, some may be quieter, some may be more apt to share than others in like a broader group. So if you did consider doing a one-to-many mentoring, I would, I would put a hard cap on like, how much, pretty intentionally, like, let's not do more than like, I mean, 5 would be great, 5 would be pretty, like in maybe a Zoom setting or something, but just figuring out like how many people you can do at a time is pretty important.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a good idea to try to have someone do a one-to-many this round.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I don't think so. I'm just saying like maybe future, like like in a couple rounds from now, as you establish the practice and feel it out.
We've also talked about putting out content for the whole community, like video recordings and things like that, for people who don't get to be an active part of the process.
Oh, awesome. That's rad.
Yeah, also Benko said that he is willing to do a public session, like a public mentorship session, maybe 1 or 2 sessions like during the round. It will be great to just keep everyone engaged.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea actually. For the next round, we can actually try to have one mentor to have maybe 2 or 3 mentees. This way we can get feedback from that section, and yeah, maybe we'll do one-to-many after that.
Nice.
Yeah, I also want to say that I have updated the mentorship repo because we announced it and I didn't want to wait. I just merged the pull request directly to master. I just added a line that the second cohort is now open. It's the second line in the README file. The second cohort is now open for mentees, and I linked the application form.
Sweet. I love that drawing. It's so great.
Yeah. Princia, actually, from the previous mentorship round, she drew that, which is awesome. So yeah, I guess we don't have much on the agenda for this week. Do you have any comments or anything?
I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what kind of resources we can, provide from this. Like, oh yeah, I guess that's another question. So, is there any expectation around for mentors around like documenting what they're doing and providing those possibly as I mean, because what would be ideal is if like we were documenting what we're doing and then surfacing useful resources, that we can keep it in a repo and stuff like that. And I'm sure you all have already thought about all that kind of stuff. I just don't know.
Yeah, we have the mentors keep a journal, or the mentees keep a journal of the interactions they have, and then we encourage people to record their sessions and post them somewhere public.
Cool. Okay, cool. So at least there's a video and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it'll be exciting to see what kind of things, useful things we can surface for folks, especially like you said, for people who want to learn and engage, but maybe don't get picked for a round and that kind of thing. It'd be really great.
This is pretty far off topic, but it's just a thought I had. What if we had as a secondary function of the mentorship program or team, like representatives for working groups that were kind of just people that can be reached out to for people who haven't gotten chosen for direct mentorship, but maybe they are really close to having what they need to contribute and just have a couple of questions and they don't know who to ask. And that kind of person could eventually, we could create like frequently asked questions for each working group and things like that.
That's awesome. That's super great. I think, yeah, I mean, if you make that a funnel, if you essentially create a funnel through this repository where people can see each representative of each different working group, that they would be able to reach out to get involved immediately. Because that's the thing I get asked all the time, especially in meetups, is like, if I wanted to get involved in helping out with a specific working group, like, I can see there's a lot of people there. I can look at recent commits or whatever and see like the people, who's been active or whatever, but where do I make the connection? So if we have a curated list for people already who are totally willing to receive, comms for like getting people involved, that's awesome. We should do that. 100%.
Yeah, actually, one of the mentors, he wasn't able to join for this round. Lyron Tal, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, from the security work group. He wasn't able to join because he needs to travel a lot and stuff for these like few months. But he also suggested the same idea that he wanted to create some kind of someone from the security working group to coordinate for the future rounds, to actually have a way to recruit mentors and a way to recruit people in the security working groups through the mentorship program, which I believe is something that we should try to focus on for the next round. It will be a guarantee that we know we have this number of mentors for each round from each working group, which is something that we really need to work on. And also, it will be a viable strategy to bring more people to Node through a systematic process instead of just bringing mentors and announcing for different people.
Yeah, the thing I like most about the idea is that it's scalable and could evolve. Like as I said, starting out, it could be as simple as just someone being available to answer questions through email or something. But if they wanted, they could start compiling those questions. It could start out as a frequently asked questions list. And then eventually we could end up having each working group having like, the best contributing .md documents in the world or something, where we direct people to different places for each thing with all kinds of documents that lay out, how the overall structure is and all that kind of stuff. That could all just kind of naturally evolve from something that could start out really simply.
Yes. And yes, that's awesome. And figuring out that can also be a sort of initial, if someone wanted to get involved in a working group and they're part of the mentorship program, like an initial task or initial homework would be to like create some kind of document or abstraction of just like a description of what that working group is with an abstraction and that kind of stuff. And then we'd already, and then give that, we already have that. And then we could just, use it, so that could be really cool. I was also thinking about it from the other side for getting strategy for getting mentors involved. And I think, obviously next step would be to fill out the contributing guide we have here. But I feel like, there's a lot of great, there are a lot of great people in the Node ecosystem that have a lot of talent, that can help and do that sort of thing. And everyone's bandwidth is, they don't have so much bandwidth and that kind of thing. And that's always hard. But I feel like if we, strategize around criteria a little bit in a like a non-exclusive way or anything, like not like you must have these qualifications to do that. That's not like what I'm saying, but just like figuring out a way to communicate that like general criteria, like, hey, have you been involved in the Node project? Do you have any experience? Like, oh, because some people might think that they have to, have like years of experience before they can jump in or something, but that's not the case. Like if you're involved and you're doing stuff, that's awesome. And I feel like people, people who are and then are able to mentor, we should be able to communicate that in a way that lets them know it's not hard to jump in and help.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've never made a code contribution to Node. The way I got involved is kind of in this mentorship program is kind of what you mentioned earlier. I just kind of jumped into a discussion and put out this really long document of like, here's the things y'all are talking about. Here's my viewpoints on each one of them and the pros and cons of each approach. And here's some other ideas I had. And they were just like, hey, you want to get involved with this? I was like, okay. So yeah, it can be really simple to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I feel like, it's just like being able to communicate that and how simple it is. Has been my biggest challenge with getting people involved in Node. I mean, it's like the threshold for most people. They're like, because people usually have this idea in their mind of, like you're contributing to a large project. That means that you had to accomplish something. You had to have X, Y, and Z blocks that you contributed and committed. And that's never the case.
It's like imposter syndrome.
Yeah, it's like getting involved in any project is wading into a stream. It's like the more involved you are, like the deeper you go, and the less, the less involved. I mean, if you have to wade out of the stream for a while, that's okay. People have limited bandwidth, but it's just like going in and out of the stream. And the first thing to do is get your feet in the water, and that's just by showing up. So I feel like the more we can help people feel that and know that for mentors and mentees, the better. So yeah, that's awesome. This is really, really great. I'm excited for this, y'all, and excited to be a part of this, and looking forward to helping one person out, and then maybe many in a couple of sessions. I don't
know. To kind of roll with what he was saying about how you don't have to, I was saying you don't have to commit code to contribute. It seems like we are kind of pushing that, at least from my perspective as the mentorship group. We're leaning more towards we're going to help you get your first code commit. Maybe that's not the case, but that's what I've gotten from it. But if we focus more on getting people involved in non-code ways. Like for instance, these type of discussions we have, if we just invite the community to be involved some way, like just posting something on GitHub that people can chime in on, and like just make an issue. Like, here's what we're thinking about doing, and then direct the Slack or Twitter or whoever, say, hey, we put this issue up. We'd love feedback from anybody and everybody about this. And that could be a good way to, like he said, get people to wade into the waters and say, hey, I am contributing to Node already, and there's nothing else I have to do. And they're responding to me, and I'm being involved. And, you know, from there, they can take the next steps or feel more empowered to take the next steps.
Yeah, absolutely. I also feel, yeah, on top of that, I feel like the mentor list is lopsided in that way. So like for contribution to Node, I feel like when I first looked at the mentor list, I was like, oh, okay, this is about Node Core. You know, that's what I saw when I saw it. And, you know, I think I'm the only community committee heavy person in this round. So I think finding that balance where people know that it's, you know, like, yeah, of course, there's going to be a lot of people who want to jump into committing to Node Core. That's great. You know, then there's also opportunities for people who want to contribute through the community committee or, you know, other non-code ways as well if they want. I feel like just finding a way to balance that and get that reflected, you know, like in the mentor list. And obviously, we're working with volunteers. You know, so it's just like, well, who's going to volunteer? Well, a lot of people who are in Node Core volunteered this time. That's great. You know, maybe if we see that it's lopsided, maybe maybe push it. You know, put the pressure on community committee a little bit more, something to help us find mentors that reflect that too, or you know, something like that over time. But I feel like trying to ride that balance of like, you know, technical and non-technical contributions is really good.
We've also talked several times before about filtering for effort, like taking people who are showing initiative and giving them more weight to get into the program and that kind of thing. I think what I was saying before about getting people involved more openly, just in a less formal way, just saying, hey, here's a way anyone can get involved, then people will naturally rise to the top there. There'll be people like myself who, you know, write big, long documents where they've obviously thought everything out, and we can say, wow, okay, this person's willing to put in some time, and we can start using that as at least an addition to the form, because, you know, the form, we're just guessing. Hopefully we asked the right questions to figure out who's going to be a good mentee, but I think it's a lot safer of a bet to give them a chance to contribute in some way and see who contributes.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really a good point. I think also something that, yeah, on top of that, I just thought of maybe it would behoove us to recognize people who are contributing more and like are putting in time and recognize those things. And if it, you know, if they are growing and really contributing, like we could give them the opportunity to be mentors as well. You know, so like something that maybe we should keep our eye out for is, you know, we kind of, I think the ideal scenario is to be mentors that mentor mentors, you know? And so like if you're mentoring mentors and they're able to then, you know, mentor mentors, then we're creating like, you know, a large base of mentors over time that can help us out and, you know, like be engaged and involved. And so anyways, I think maybe this is my opinion, but it would be really awesome to make that to get that in the core message somewhere, where you know, like if people are really, if an individual is really growing through their mentorship and they get through the mentorship, and they can, you know, they also have the, you know, we recognize that they would make a good mentor, you know, then they're able to jump into the mentorship program as a mentor.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so, you know, something that we've kind of covered before, which is really like, how are we setting up this process? And, you know, if you think of it as inputs and outputs to get, like, to achieve the goal, which is really to get more people into contributing to Node, either core or other ways, the limiting factor really is mentors. And your comments before about, oh, this is really heavily skewed towards core. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's just what we could get, really. We want all the mentors that we can get, because that's our bottleneck.
Right.
The limited resource really is people who are experienced enough to be mentors. And while I don't think it has to be anybody who's landed a commit in Node or has been working on a committee for a while, there is a minimum level of experience required, and those people who tend to have that experience also tend to have limited bandwidth and are not, they don't really have as much time available to mentor. So, what you're getting at is completely the idea, which is how can we make new mentors? And if we can do that through our own process, that's ideal. So,
totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, this is pretty far out there, but from what we've been discussing in the past, but one thing I could see doing that is, I know we've previously explicitly stated we're not about general mentoring, like programming, for instance, but depending on what kind of resources we can come up with, maybe it would make sense to do some of that type of mentoring. If we've got a bunch of people in our Slack channel who haven't contributed to Node, but they've been programming for 40 years, why not let them mentor some people in programming if they want to, and that can at least get them involved in the Node ecosystem and talking to the people who are involved with Node and say, hey, these are really cool people and they're really helpful, and now I feel comfortable asking them these more Node specific questions. And it's kind of like Ben said, a funnel in a way. So that's another idea.
Yeah, I think between what you're saying, AJ, and what David said, figuring out how to utilize what the bandwidth that we have, given the mentors that we have at any present session, time frame, and how I don't know. I think it's just the problem of figuring out how we can best utilize our bandwidth to serve a growing community, and then how to scale that over time, and make sure that we have resources for people who can't get involved in the interim. And those are all really great points.
How would you guys feel about encouraging people in some of the channels to watch this video and comment on their thoughts about our ideas during this video?
Yeah, I mean, the more the merrier. I think even that simple thing, it's simple. The people who would be interested in doing that may find a way that they can contribute even through making this better.
Yeah, I agree. It would be awesome to share this video with a mentorship channel and on GitHub to get more ideas, see who's more interested in getting involved on deeper level. Regarding bringing people who are experienced but not members in Node, I totally like the idea, and I initially started thinking about it. But there was a concern about people who are not members already in Node. They don't know much about the code of conduct, and it will bring all these things that we faced earlier. When we first started the program, it was the first challenge on how will we keep this environment safe for mentees and mentors without needing to have some sort of really tight process to make sure that there's no friction between mentors and mentees. And our current solution is just to bring people who are already members in Node. Maybe we can figure out another way to do that. That would be really interesting. But yeah, this is the main issue why we didn't pursue that. Also, I like the idea of having, especially in the first rounds, that the mentorship program is really focused on just bringing more contributors to Node. This way, it's much easier for people to know if they want to join the mentorship program or not, just because they exactly know what they're getting. Maybe in the next rounds, if we figure a way around the code of conduct and how we'll make it safe without needing to have a personal security guard on every.
Right. Yeah, and all the things I'm mentioning are definitely for future rounds. I'm not saying we should try to switch things up all of a sudden and try something new for this current round. This is already locked in and ready to go.
I think codifying these things in the contributing guide is going to be super vital as we discuss and go along and make sure that they're there. So there would be a concern if people are coming from outside organizations, but you're going to need some kind of acclimation process. You know, you're going to need some kind of like, if you're going to be a contributor, then we require that you read through this code of conduct with us. And, you know, I mean, maybe since we want to be safe about mentors and mentees, we require that maybe every new mentor comes to one of these meetings or something, you know, so we can not only see, you know, like, and that they're required to read through the code of conduct and maybe sign an agreement or something. I don't know if they want to sign an agreement, but you know what I'm saying? Just like some kind of like, hey, we can see that they have, you know, agreed to our code of conduct. We've seen them. We don't just want to turn people that we don't know or haven't had any interaction with loose. You know, and I'm primarily talking about people who are coming from outside of Node, you know, that sort of thing. But it'd be nice to just like, you know, say, hey, if you're a new contributor, make it to one of our meetings and get involved. Yeah,
and these are the kind of questions I think would be great to invite the community to help us think through, you know. I'm sure some of the thousands of people who are interested in this program have some thoughts on these things and could probably come up with some solutions. So.
Yeah, I completely agree for sure. Yeah, maybe we should open a few issues from this meeting. And
yeah, I was thinking GitHub would be a good central space because of just, if nothing else, the voting, you know, thumbs up aspect of it. People can offer ideas and then it can get upvoted.
Yeah, I mean, we'll make some issues, you know, but we have a couple of action items from this meeting and those can become issues, and then we'll just be able to, you know, like, I mean, one is like get some general stuff in the contribution guide, you know, like how to be a mentor or, you know, things like that. But yeah, if we can take the action items here and make them into issues, and, you know, then you can take that, take our issues and share them with the community and say, hey, if you have something that you'd like to contribute via this discussion, then please open an issue.
Yeah, we don't have anything like a suggestion box, do we, currently?
I think, I mean, in general, given the platform that we're using in GitHub and how Node is, you know, eternally bonded to GitHub, I think that we should. It's a great platform for, like, if you have a suggestion or something, make an issue. We'll talk about it. We can discuss it in text there. We'll have a history of it. Everyone will see it. So I think it's probably the best place given the nature of our project.
Right. So I guess it's just a matter of encouraging people, because right now we're not getting those types of issues. But maybe if we put it out and say, hey, we're interested in your feedback. We'd love to hear your ideas. Please go file an issue if you have an idea.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's true. Like our contributing guide, our contributing file is just to be determined. It's just right.
Yeah, I think just a basic definition of you know, like how, if you're contributing as a mentor and if you're contributing as a mentee, what does that mean? You know, I think having two basic definitions for that would be a good place to start, and then moving on from there.
Also as a team member.
Yeah, as a team member. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, this is exciting, y'all. Really great stuff happening. And I'm super excited for this round. I mean, really great team here, and people, you know, like super positive, you know, just like where this is going, and people are going to get stoked and involved in it. Like, I think something that's really cool, just as maybe a last thought for me, something that's really cool thinking about like the mentoring mentors kind of thing, is that like people can I lost it. I lost that thought.
Happens to me all the time.
It flew away. I had something great, and then I was gone. Yeah, well, you know, whatever. Next time.
Yeah.
Well, I can interject with my final thought, and feel free to interrupt me if it comes back to you. But the main concern I have with our current format, like it's definitely good and it's the best we've come up with so far, so let's roll with it. But I can see if I was a mentor and I'm mentoring one person for a couple of months or something, and then it turns out that person just kind of fizzles out. That's kind of discouraging to me that I just spent a couple of months and the Node project didn't get helped at all. So I'd be probably less likely to contribute the next time around. So that's why I'm voicing these ideas about greater community involvement and a more passive flow into the project. Because if we already have a limited capacity of mentors, so we definitely don't want to start driving those away. So the more we can let people kind of self-mentor or get involved through some less active way, I think it's a good path to explore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I guess it's a good idea to open an issue about that, write our initial thoughts on how to do it, and like you said, get the community to contribute their ideas as well. This way, like, we'll get more ideas and we'll get everyone involved. And yeah, it's a good way to get started as well.
Yeah, it's super exciting. Like for mentors, I mean, there's a lot. Well, I think you touched on something you're saying about like getting people involved and seeing the outcome for Node. I think that's one side of it, but the other super exciting part is grow. Like personal growth. So it's just like the mentors get to reinforce like important aspects of their understanding and their growth by being able to teach others. And so I think that's, I mean, maybe that's what I was trying to do. The thing that I lost was like, if people learn, get involved, then they can turn back around, mentor, reinforce their learnings, reinforce their understanding by teaching it again, and so that's definitely a really awesome value for the mentor in this. And I don't like it's definitely not just a self-sacrificial thing. Like we're building up Node, we're growing. For some people, it may just be an opportunity to really get for mentors. Some mentors, it may be a good opportunity just to get really comfortable with teaching. So but there's a lot of ways that everyone is growing and getting great benefit out of it. So.
Yeah, to that point, I would like to see this initiative just kind of open up and offer more than just here's what we do. We take one person and put them with one person and they do this for this number of weeks and then everybody goes on their way. I'd like it to be a place where a mentor could be like, hey, I have been mentoring this person. It's really taught me. I really love teaching. So I made a course and it's like, great, we've got a website. We'll put it up for you. And we've got this community that's already interested in learning stuff. So we'll direct them to it. I'd like to see it be more of an organic type of initiative like that, where we just facilitate whatever people come up with, however they want to learn about Node. We'll help facilitate that.
Yeah, totally. Leaving it open for people to teach based on what mentors and mentees actually want. That's great.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's a good idea also because not everyone has the capacity to mentor for 10 weeks straight. So maybe like a few people are interested in contributing for a week or 2 weeks. This way they can contribute maybe in content or other areas, not just actual one-on-one mentorship. So yeah, it would be an interesting thing to think about on how we can get that into the program.
And now that we've kind of started automating our program a bit more, that'll give us time during the cohorts to have these kind of discussions more, and instead of just trying to figure out the specifics of how the mentoring's about to happen. We already got that worked out, so now we can just explore fun ideas and talk about where we can go from here.
Totally. Yeah, I think just to drive it home a little bit, taking the awesome ideas that have come out of this meeting and creating issues out of them would be a really great thing. Even if they're like future thinking or not, that's not going to happen like in the next couple months or whatever. It's totally fine. But I personally don't have the bandwidth to create a bunch of issues right now, just because I have other things going on. Yeah, I would love to see that, and that would be super awesome if people from this group would be able to make some.
Or from the community at large.
Or from the community at large. Anybody out there? Definitely.
Yes, please do that. We have a few questions on YouTube. I'm happy to announce that this is the first time we're live on YouTube for a very long time. Hello, guys. When Node will be use multi-thread? We kind of have multi-threading under a flag. I can share link to the docs, but JavaScript is single-threaded. So anyways, I may have joined this live video late, but I wanted to know how can I register for the mentorship program. Go to the mentorship repo, Node.js/mentorship, and there's a link to the application, the second line in the README file. Welcome. I'm looking for some articles which can read the files containing contents using Node.js. Maybe you have more experience with that, but my personal experience is just going to the Node.js/Node repo and trying to figure out the JavaScript, like the JavaScript side and the C++ side and how they're communicating the file structure. There's good first issues that are really easy to get started with. This is how I personally started. I'm not sure if you have other ideas.
Good first issue is a great place to start, definitely. Also, I don't know if you saw Tierney or Bit and Bang's good first issue module. Super cool. Check it out. You can just see any random good first issue at any given time for multiple projects, not even just Node. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I've linked it in the mentorship channel a few times. It's really great. You just say, I want to contribute to Node.js, and you get a list of good first issues. It's definitely a good start. Also, Tierney shared he wrote a blog about all the aspects of Node, like the ComCom, all the working groups, and how to contribute, how to get started. It's a really great article. I always share it as well. So that's a good place to start. Yeah. Thanks for chiming in, guys, on YouTube.
Thanks all. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. It was a great meeting.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Hey, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, really awesome meeting. See you next time.
Bye.